everybody. Welcome to the Watchtower. The 12 signs before Christmas. 12 signs before Christmas. So, glad you guys can join me. This is episode 76, I think. I made the thing and the front card and I forgot. 76, right here in my notes. Imagine that. All I got to do is look down at my notes. Shocking. But glad you guys could join me. Glad you guys are here. So this is our almost end of the year, but just kind of like what I did last year where it was the 12 signs before Christmas. It's kind of our take on the 12 days of Christmas type of thing, all that. And tonight is going to be just kind of a little bit more relaxed. Normally when we do this stuff, I'm trying to get as much information out there as possible and doing all that stuff. But this is just going to be kind of just a relaxed, laid back kind of just, we're going to go over 12 things to bring us encouragement as we're at the end of this year heading into the next year. So this is mainly about encouragement. This is about just taking a look at what is going on, all these signs, prophetic signs that are happening everywhere around the world right now, and it's supposed to bring us encouragement and give us some perseverance to continue as things continue to get a little bit harder than they've been, to put it lightly, because as we know, we're building up towards that tribulation, and luckily, Savior's going to come. And he's going to take us out of here before that happens. So I just kind of want this to be a little bit more relaxed. Hopefully we can get some conversation going. I'd love to get you guys involved and interact with you guys a lot more tonight than maybe what I normally do, and all that. So, but this is supposed to be some encouragement as we go through these times. So I'm glad that you guys are here. And it looks like we've got the chat here. Glad to see you guys. We got Not of This World. Hello all. One day closer and one more day to draw closer to the Lord before he takes us home. Amen. We got Kim is here. How we doing, Kim? Lisa has made it. So that's good. Glad that you made it. And we've got the Australian. The Australian is here. Yeah, I remember you. Sornex, glad to see you. Happy to be here all the way from South Australia. Glad you're here. Definitely glad to see you. So glad you guys could join me. All the usual spiel before we start going into things, and make sure like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I've noticed a large boost of people, subscribers, not only on YouTube but on Telegram, because it looks like Pete Garcia, he shared out last week's podcast, and that was actually the first podcast I've done that actually hit 1,000 views, which was incredible. But I'm glad you guys are here. Glad you. I'm very grateful for Pete for sharing that out. So that's awesome. But so like, share, subscribe with all that stuff. Make sure you follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, and Telegram. Those are the backup channels for the inevitable boot from YouTube. I just know they're going to kick me off. They do not appreciate the stuff that we talk about on here. So make sure you follow me on there. Make sure you're on my Telegram. I definitely post up-to-date, everyday news stuff on there. And then if anything was to happen to my YouTube channel, you will find out on there. So all that stuff. But all right. So I think we're going to go ahead and get going into what we got going on. Like I said, just take this with encouragement. Definitely, 2023 is definitely going to be holding some serious stuff. You know me, my way of words, not necessarily the best, but there's going to be a lot of things happening this next year. We've seen what has happened this year, but mainly what we've been watching this year is the building up of getting these things ready, and quite a few of these things they said they're going to be launching next year, and so it's going to be very, there's no other way to put it. It's going to be prophetic what's going to happen. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I wasn't planning on it, but I guess I'll go ahead and do what I did last year. The first sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep doing that. I did that last year and I just stopped at like 5 or something. Anyways, number one, Israel preparing for war with Iran. So I was kind of going back and forth with this. I was like, okay, do I want to just go with the wars and rumors of wars stuff? Because there's so many conflicts happening out there in the world right now, or do I want to take a look at what's going on with the Ezekiel 38 coalition that's happening? The increase in cooperation between military and economy between Russia, Iran, Turkey, and Sudan and Libya. But I decided I'm actually going to narrow it down to the war that is basically being prepared for with Iran, with Israel. And so this is big stuff happening. This is something that really could kick off at any moment. And the reason why I chose this is because Israel is preparing for this war. And we've seen those signs start to accumulate, especially in the past month, I would say, where we've seen Israel. They are getting their war machine economy ready to go. If you don't know what the war machine is, it's like what we've seen World War II, World War One. It's where most of the economy starts shifting into war equipment, weapons, and stuff. A lot of the economy starts shifting there. We've seen it where most of the money gets put in there. Women have actually started, like in World War II, they got into the factories and started building this stuff. And so Israel, they've announced that they've started warning their citizens that prepare for a war economy. There's going to be a lot less money for the normal things that you've seen, and most of it's going to be put towards defense and offensive war machine equipment. So they're preparing that way, and we've also seen reports that the next finance minister that Netanyahu is going to put in place, his first task is to get that war machine prepared. So they are getting ready to do that. We've also seen the IDF has requested for a large group of battalion reserve military call up. So I think it's over a dozen that we saw where the IDF is requesting. Now, these reserve battalions can be anywhere from 300 to 1,000. So if you start looking at that, that's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers. These specific battalions that they're talking about are not going to be offensive battalions. They're not going to be the ones like, say, boots on the ground in Iran or Syria or any one of these places. It's going to be defense. These are going to be defenses because you have to remember the moment Israel starts something with Iran, all those proxy terror groups that are connected to Iran, Hezbollah, in the Gaza, we've seen all the terror strikes and stuff coming out of Gaza, West Bank and stuff. They're all basically going to get permission to start going after Israel. And so they're going to need defense on top of their offense. And that's what the IDF is requesting. So we've seen that happen. And then we're also seeing extensive drills, not only cooperative drills with Israel and the U.S., but we've seen just pop-up drills where they didn't even announce that they were going to do them. They didn't even announce that it was going to happen. And they've been preparing for long distance flights with their jets. We've also seen different ground scenarios. We've seen them in environments where they're going like Iranian style environments. I've seen reports that they're practicing for in mock Tehran scenarios. I don't know if they would go that far, but possibly. I mean, you never know, because this war is probably going to be leading into the Ezekiel 38 war. So they're getting these drills going where they're doing this, and Netanyahu has said, I mean, he's been saying for years now, but he has said they will stop the nuclear program with or without the U.S. involved. And so I don't know. The moves that they're making seem to tell me, at least, that this is going to go down, and it's probably going to go down next year. So that's why I chose specifically this. This is the war that I think we need to be watching for, because I truly believe that this is going to bridge into Ezekiel 38. And we could see the war with Israel and Iran kick off. The church could still be here for that. But the church is not going to be here for Ezekiel 38. And so if we see this war kick off, that's if we see the war between Israel and Iran kick off, That's a pretty good sign that we are almost out of here, guys. No one knows the day or the hour, but he specifically said those who watch will have an idea of his return. We need to be like the servants waiting for the master, be prepared. And so that's the first sign before Christmas. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. The second sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me, oh gosh, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing that. But the second sign, also with Israel, the third temple is starting to take the focus of the world, the eyes of the world are starting to shift towards the third temple. And we know scripturally, unfortunately, I don't have all the stuff to throw up, guys. I apologize. But we know scripturally, the world's eyes, the world's attention is going to be, in the tribulation, is going to be turned towards the third temple. And we're starting to see that now. And so we're seeing the third temple start to take focus where we've got a lot of stuff has happened with this third temple. And I know there's some people out there that's saying, don't worry about it. Don't focus on the third temple. Be watching the third temple. There's so much involved with this. One world religion is involved with this. The coming of the Antichrist is involved with this. The abomination of desolation is going to be involved with this. When they're making preparations to build this temple, when they're making preparations for it to be built and to come to fruition, we know that they're getting ready to build it. And when they start doing that, that is a pretty good sign that we're almost out of here. So what am I talking about as far as why is it coming into focus? We've seen things like the 5 perfect red heifers that have come from Texas into Israel. We saw that happen a couple months ago where they got shipped in. They were what they described as the perfect red heifers for this. They've got 5 to choose from. They only need one. The red heifer, of course, is used for the purification of the temple. And so the red heifers, they're not quite to the age yet where they need to be, but they're like about a year away from being the perfect age for that. And so we know the Antichrist is going to use the red heifer to purify the temple. He's going to, as part of his I'm God, I'm taking over type of thing. So we've got the red heifers. We've also seen the water libation demonstration where they went through the exact trail that they were supposed to with all of the instruments and the water jug. They did the climb through and everything like that. They are practicing that water libation that is going to be used when that third temple is put up. So we've seen them doing that. That is a very unique thing that we haven't seen them do for a very long time because third temple wasn't there. Now they're practicing and getting that ready. We've also seen specific worship service practices, specifically with music. I'm not going to go into great detail about this, but basically what it is there's supposed to be specific instruments and specific singers on certain steps up to the Temple Mount, and they do it in a specific way, singing specific songs. It's a very structured worship service that they do, and we have seen them preparing for it. They've gotten the musicians and the singers and everybody ready to do this. We've seen them practicing that as well. So that is another huge thing. Then we've also seen the bullet train that they are preparing from Ben Gurion Airport to the Temple Mount. This is going to be huge to go back and forth. They've been working on getting the ultra-Orthodox church to be on board with this. They weren't really on board with it before, but now they're seeing what it could be used for as far as getting sacrifices to and from, as well as, of course, the countless amount of people that are going to be flooding into that third temple. So that's also going to be a part of it. Now, the Temple Institute of Jerusalem has been working for the past 30 plus years on getting the exact design, the exact blueprint, as well as the correct furnishings. I mean, to the knife, spoon, and fork, getting the exact furnishings that they need for this third temple. They've been working on it for 30 plus years. And I mean, they've been collecting these items. They haven't just been planning for it. They've actually been collecting for it, and it's collecting them, and they're sitting there in preparation, ready to go for this temple. And I've also heard, I can't like sit here and confirm, but I've heard from several sources that when they get the okay, when it's approved, they can get this temple up and opened within 3 months. And so this is a huge, huge thing to watch for this. Let's see. We've got El Trim. I don't think I've seen you around here before, so really good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday. Says, don't they even have all the materials to build ready? I know the plans are drawn and they can build and finish in a matter of weeks. Yeah. So that's basically what I was talking about as far as they've got everything sitting there ready to go, and they can get this thing up and open in 3 months. So yeah, this thing has been ready. Like I said, I mean, if you've been working on this temple for 30 plus years, you better be sure you've got everything ready to go, and it sure seems that way. And now the last thing I want to make note on this third temple, and this kind of, there's people that have been covering it, prophecy guys have been covering it, but it kind of goes under the radar a little bit, maybe not necessarily talked about as much. But you've got officials of not only the Temple Institute, but government officials as well, and the planning officials that are calling, basically saying that this third temple is going to be the house of worship for all nations. What that means, translated, I guess you can say, is it's going to be the house of the one world religion, the house of worship for all nations. That's all nations. That's putting it together. That's going to be the one world religion. And so that fits exactly, perfectly and exactly as prophetic scripture would tell us it's going to be. So this temple is not only they're getting the preparations for all this stuff, but they're calling it the house of the worship, or house of worship for all nations. That's your one world religion. And of course we know Antichrist sits on the throne, one world religion. You're all going to worship me, abomination of desolation. You know how the story goes. So that would be the second thing that we have seen this past year and what is building into this coming year. Remember, I know there's so much stuff going on out there, and there's so many things happening everywhere, but we've got to remember, we must remember that the key to prophecy, the key to everything is Israel. That's why everybody wants to say it's the tribulation, but what it is, it's the time of Jacob's trouble, and then the great tribulation happens. So it's Jacob's trouble. It's Israel. It's for Israel. It's the whole point is to get Israel to turn back to the true Messiah. They're going to be duped. They're going to fall for this false Messiah, this Antichrist, and the whole point of this is to get Israel to turn back. And so we got to watch Israel. And I mean, the countdown, the clock for all this started when Israel became reborn, became a nation again. And so once that hit, that countdown clock started. Again, nobody knows when the clock's going to stop, but I'm just using it as an example that the focus needs to be on Israel. Don't ever fall for any false teaching that tells you that the church has replaced Israel, or Israel's not important, or any of that. Don't ever fall for that. That is not scriptural. That is not biblical. It's false teaching. Israel is the key. They're still important. That God still has a covenant with them that it will be fulfilled. He never breaks his promises. Never breaks his promises. And so that covenant is still alive and active today. So do not fall for that garbage. Trash, garbage, whatever you want to call it. Or as the UK would say, the bin. So that's number 2. Number 3. I don't know. Do you guys still want me to keep doing it? I'll leave it up to you. The third sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me. I don't know. Okay. 3. The takeover of the Laodicean church. One world religion, mystery religion, all of that, etc. above, all of the above. This one is just... This is one that I tend to get heated on, and I try to cover as much as I can because I know there's so much going on that a lot of prophecy guys, and I'm not slighting them I mean, I love them. You know, Tom, Pete, Pablo, JD, I love you guys. But I try at least here. I really, really, really try to bring as much as far as what's going on with the Laodicean church, the mystery religion, the one world religion, all of that stuff. I try to bring it in as much as I can because it is happening and we must warn about it because, yes, our goal is to definitely get out there and get Jesus to people and to tell people about Jesus and drag them across that line. Even if they're kicking and screaming and you have to scare them with hell, it doesn't matter. We have to pull them across, but we can't just do that and then just say, okay, good luck, bye. Or just, and unfortunately, we can't just do it nowadays where we just, okay, well, you're a Christian now, go find a church, go find somewhere that you fit in type of thing. Unfortunately, and yes, I get heat for this, but it's true. Unfortunately, the modern church has been so infiltrated, it is extremely difficult to find a church that has not been poisoned in some way or another. And it's unfortunate. I want to make sure that I see you. Dream Vector, greetings from the Pacific Northwest. Glad to see you. It's really cool. I'm seeing some new faces, some new names in here. Glad to see you guys. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday, Dream. Glad you're here. Yeah, the church, we are in sad, pathetic shape. Yeah. Yeah, so small. And I talked about this a couple weeks ago, where I was watching some pastor and he said the church is strong, and I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But I think there needs to be more added onto that. The church is strong. The true church, the true biblical, Jesus focused, true gospel preaching church is strong. But it's small. It's very, very small. And it's because this modern church has been so corrupted. It's been so infiltrated that it's all about fitting in with the world. It's about introducing worldly aspects. It's about growing numbers. It's about getting as many butts and seats as possible. Just being upfront about it. That it's about putting on a show. It's about putting on a rock show. I posted a video on my Telegram a couple weeks ago where there was a church, I think it was in Texas, where they were doing, they're getting ready for their Christmas special. And it's this huge auditorium. There's nothing wrong with having a big sanctuary or anything. I'm not saying that. But they had snare drum, like drumline snare drummers or whatever, on rigs flying across the ceiling. And I'm sitting there going, there is no focus on Jesus on that. There is absolutely no focus on Jesus. The focus is on this show. It's about putting on a show. How can we be as extravagant as possible? It's about being like Hillsong, Bethel, and Elevation. And if you have spent any time on my channel, I know I've got a lot of new people, but if you spend any time on my channel, I will warn as much as possible. I have absolutely no problem name dropping. And it's not just to, be edgy or controversial or anything. No, I name drop because it's very important that we are aware of these places. I don't even call them churches, but these places. And Hillsong, Bethel, and Elevation are satanic. They're straight from Satan. They are not the true church. They are not true Christians, and I will stand behind that. I've got videos on it. You can search my channel. I got them all over the place. And how Satan, if people don't realize, Satan, he was that top angel before he fell. And he was regarded as I guess the best way to put it is the worship angel. He was in charge of the music and stuff. How do you think he's going to infiltrate these churches? How do you think he's going to start creeping in to all these modern churches? How is he going to get his foot in the door and then start corrupting the modern church? He's going to do it through music. And if there's any music that is used, and I want to say 90%, maybe not 90%, maybe 80% of churches out there now, is they use one or all three of Hillsong, Bethel, and Elevation music. Again, if you don't believe me, I've got videos that you can check out where I call all three churches out and I prove why I'm at this point. Satan's using that music to get in. It's all about these fluffy 7-Eleven songs. You say the same 7 words 11 times. It's about using music that is built a specific way. It's about drawing emotion. Everything is about drawing emotion. So people are deceived. And if you know anything about the times that we're in now, it's the times of deception. Everybody's going to be deceived. There's going to be such deception that even true Bible Christians will be duped from time to time. And so they build these songs where it's all about emotion. It's about drawing out emotion. It's about making people feel like they're connecting with God. But in actuality, it's these songs built specifically to draw out emotion. And they're putting in wrong lyrics. Not every song is false in the lyrics that they use, but a lot of it is like just your boyfriend, girlfriend love songs and everything. And so Satan is using that. So be aware of that stuff. There's other ones out there like Maverick City Music and Passion and stuff. I'm not. I'll if I don't move on, I'll stay forever here. But be very, very warned. Then also another one that I've gotten a lot of trouble with, the people. But I want to say it again. Things like The Chosen. This is a part of the Laodicean church. It's about bringing universalism. It's about bringing all these religions and denominations together, and The Chosen's the perfect example. This is a giant tool that Satan is using. I've got 2 videos on this if you want to check it out. But The Chosen, just a quick breakdown. You have the director, writer, and producer Dallas Jenkins that either doesn't know the difference between the Mormon Jesus and the Christian Jesus, or he does and he's lying about it. Either way, it's not good. So you have him controlling this thing. Its production is put on by Mormons. The actor who plays Jesus, Jonathan Rumi, he's a devout Christian that bows to the Pope. And then you've got the just recently the lead actress who plays Mary Magdalene. She just came out and said The Chosen is about portraying and putting out the esoteric version of the Bible. Esoteric is just a fancy way of saying the occultic version. This show is a giant tool that Satan is using to bring in this Laodicean church. Now we're also seeing the modern churches falling into the thing of supporting the alphabet agenda. It's about supporting either the gays or the trans or the 500 million thousand different genders that they want to talk about. We're seeing more and more churches putting that forward. We're seeing them falling into the wokeism, the race, the BLM stuff, talking about how just preaching from the thing, we can't be racist and we've got to do this. And I've seen several pastors out there that say, well, I feel ashamed because I'm a white pastor and stuff. They fall into that stuff. The wokeism stuff is straight from Satan. BLM is demonic, straight demonic. They're falling into that stuff. Another one, always get heat on this, doesn't care. The Bible says it. Female pastors and leadership, there's supposed to be no female pastors or leadership in church. Children's director and women's group and stuff, that's perfectly fine, but there should be no women pastors, there should be no women deacons, there should be no women elders. The church is supposed to be just like the patriarchy. That's God's order. It's God's design. I've even talked about it where in Isaiah, I can't remember the chapter, but a sign of judgment is when there's women leadership. But we're seeing more and more and more and more churches taking on women pastors and women leadership. That's a part of the Laodicean church. That's a part of mystery religion. Again, it's all in there. Then we're seeing the abandonment of Israel. A lot of these churches, they are basically just denying Israel. They don't support Israel. They don't think, they'll talk about Israel in the biblical sense, but they have absolutely no desire to support Israel today like we're supposed to. Now, remember, I want to make sure that people understand that you can support Israel without supporting the government leadership of said country. And so we definitely have to make sure that if you're in a church, when it comes to churches, make sure you, like, before you join it, ask if you can have a sit down with a pastor. It doesn't have to be very long, but have certain questions that will point you in the right direction. Something that I always ask, do you use music of Hillsong Bethel and Elevation? If you do, I'm out. Sorry, not happening. Do you support Israel? Do you think they play an important event in not only Old Testament, but in prophetic signs? If they're not in support of that, bye, I'm out of here. Or if they say that the church has replaced Israel, bye, I'm out of there. make sure, because this is becoming a thing where the abandonment of Israel is happening, we're also seeing the rewriting of the gospel, the false Jesus. This is about live your best life now, or God can do this for you, or it's even something as simple as they deny the Trinity. Uh, they don't think that Jesus is the God man, which is 100% man, 100% God. They think that Jesus is some hippie Jesus that's all about peace, love type of thing, and they forget that he's holy and righteous and just. It's what are the characteristics are you teaching about Jesus? Do they even say the name of Jesus? Because there's a lot of churches out there that won't even say that. They'll just say God. They replace it with God. Okay, what God are you talking about? That's always my question. If your church does not preach the name of Jesus Christ, then you probably should get out of there as well. That's the part of the Laodicean church. And then the other one is merging of religions. We're seeing a lot more churches, the blending of denominations, the introduction of events. This is something you got to pay attention to. They hold a lot of events where it's a Christian church holding an event with a Catholic church. Big no-no. We are not supposed to merge. We're not supposed to yoke that way. Yeah, the yoke passage mainly talks about, unequal yoke, mainly with like partnership and whatnot. Well, that partnership also goes towards churches. We are not supposed to be a part of that as well. So they'll do things with the Catholic Church, or they'll do things with the Mormon Church, or just like the Chosen, you got all the merging of the religions. It's the same thing. And this is a part of the Laodicean church. This is what we're seeing now. We must be very careful. We cannot compromise. If there is anything that I can say, do not compromise. And I know there's a lot of people out there. I know there's a lot of pastors who say it's extremely important, it's biblical, that we are to be a part of a local church. I agree. But the time that we're living now, we cannot compromise these things. These are foundations of Scripture. These are foundations of what the church is supposed to be. And if you have a church that cannot get the basics right, I mean, these are basic. If you can't get the basics right, we should not be a part of it. And if you're anywhere like me, I live in a pretty good sized town. I can't find a church here. I attend online. I go to Brett Meter at Athey Creek. And if you're looking for a church, I highly recommend this guy. He is fantastic. He is biblically sound. He does amazing in-depth biblical teaching every Sunday. So if you're in a place, in a position like me, where yes, I am fully on board with if you have a local church that is biblically sound around you, that doesn't fall in all these traps, go there. Definitely go there. But if you're in a position like me where there's nowhere, I mean, even if there's a place where I could drive to go, there's nowhere around me, unfortunately. That's pretty sad. But if you're like me, find these guys. Tom Hughes, fantastic. JD Farag, fantastic. Brett Meter, Athey Creek, fantastic. There are guys online that we can go to. And unfortunately, that's becoming our underground church. Like, you know how China... Fortunately, we're in a position where we're not getting killed yet for going to church. But in China, they have their underground church where they have to meet in some pretty unique places, just 2 or 3 of them at a time to have church. Well, ours is the online church right now. So make sure you're not getting guilt tripped into just going to a local church, even if it's not correct. Find Christians to interact with. I'm hoping you guys are finding it in the chat here. Hopefully you guys are building relationships. I know it's not the same as having in-person relationships, but still we can find those in other ways. But do not fall into the Laodicean church. We cannot do that. So that's very important. You guys are talking it up. What do we got going on here? Let's see here. Ray's in the house. Good evening, everybody. Greetings from Texas. Glad to see you, Ray. Glad you're here. We've got Davis. Hey, Davis, glad to see you. You're starting to become a regular. Glad to see you here. Born for this. Amen. Glad to see you. You're another new name, another new face. It's awesome. Love the picture. Palm trees. Love it. What else? Do we got anybody going on in here? I think that's what do we got? What do you got here? LTRM, start a home group, fellowship with believers. Yep, definitely. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, say you're in a church that isn't biblically found on a biblical foundation right now, and you have a couple people in there that believe the same way. They think this something's not right. Definitely see if you guys can get together on Sundays and then stream one of these guys online and do it that way. At least you're meeting together. Definitely, that's a great idea. That is great. Arizona. All right. Welcome. Welcome. Glad you're here. So, okay. All right. We're on the 4. I guess I'll just keep going. The 4th sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me, surpassing the days of Noah and Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes, I firmly believe that we have reached the point now where we are past as far as the perversion of the days of Noah and Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody knows Sodom and Gomorrah is kind of that, when you want to talk about how unmoral a place has gotten, that's usually the standard. Well, I think we've surpassed that point. We've got, the flooding of the alphabet agenda, your ABC, LGB, 2Q, whatever stuff, plus exclamation point, comma, semicolon. I don't know. There's so many of them now, but the alphabet agenda is just flooding, and it's getting into the church. It's getting into the governments. It's getting into workplaces. It's getting into wherever you go. It's getting into schools. Libraries. I mean, we've seen things like the drag queen story hours, the quote unquote family friendly drag queen shows, even like baseball. Some baseball teams have put on drag show events before the games and everything. We are, it's flooding everywhere. And it's mainly, I want to say mainly, I don't know much about if it's like in Australia and whatnot, but I know in the United States and Canada and in Europe specifically, this stuff has been flooding. I know Russia and places like Russia, Turkey, China, they make fun of us because of it. But it is happening here. It's starting to flood everywhere as far as this stuff goes, and it's indoctrinating the kids. It's getting to the kids. I just saw something not too long ago where people are starting to fight back against it now. They went and like a New York City congressman was talking about how a bunch of parents showed up and they started writing stuff on his sidewalk outside of his building because he's one that supports putting kids into drag shows and all this stuff. And even things like people don't want to realize it, but things like I don't know what it's called, but it's for like the little kids and they do the Little Miss Universe or something like that. I can't remember. It's the same thing. People want to talk, oh, that's innocent. It's not innocent. It's the grooming of kids. It's the grooming of kids. It's the introduction in a subtle way of the pedophilia stuff. And it's just, it's flooding everywhere. It's coming in everywhere. Then we're seeing things like the Balenciaga stuff. I'm not going to talk about that stuff again. I did 2 updates on it. If anything else comes out, I'll talk about it. But as of right now, if you want to know about what's going on with the Balenciaga stuff, I talked about that stuff. But it is sick, and it's not only the pedophilia stuff, but it's also the Satanism and the occultic, and it's evil. It is the worship of Baal. It's disgusting. Then there's things like people have forgotten about the Wayfair incident. If you don't know Wayfair, Wayfair is a online furniture place, but there was specific pages on Wayfair where it would have like a set of drawers, like for your clothes, dressers, and it would have female names attached to them. They were caught doing trafficking via the Wayfair stuff. If you want to dig into that, sorry for hitting my mic. If you want to dig into that, you can. Then there's the Pizzagate and Frazzle Drip. I don't want to say much more about that because with YouTube, but you can look into that stuff. That's all real. That has all happened, and it's the blending. It's the introduction of the pedophilia, the trafficking, and the satanic worship and occultic rituals and all this stuff. It is all happening now, and I'm sorry, but we don't have a clue how deep this stuff goes. We do not have a clue. We've seen the tip of the iceberg, and I don't think we want to see how far it goes. But this is where we're at now, and this is worldwide. I've talked about with the Balenciaga thing. The creative director guy is a part of Zelensky and his Ukraine United 24 thing. It's all connected. We've seen all the kids that disappear at the southern border, thousands and thousands and thousands of children that just magically disappear at the southern border. What do you think is going on? What do you think is going on? This is happening. Then we're seeing the destruction of genders and of family and the patriarchy. It's all about bringing in the androgyny. It's about being androgynous. If you don't know, the Baphomet is an androgynous beast, androgynous being. He's male and female. It is male and female. And so this is a part of that agenda. It's about getting to this androgynous state and taking it back to the modern day church. Take a look at how the worship leaders dress and look. Specifically, take a look at Hillsong, Bethel, and Elevation, if you're curious. But look at all the other churches as well. Do you have people up there where it's very feminine men or butch-looking women? You can't tell. It's how they do their hair. We've seen. I can't remember the guy's name. There was some. He's a big CCM guy. I can't remember the guy's name, but he went online and defended how he had painted fingernails. A dude should not have painted fingernails. And you see things like the man bun, the skinny jeans, or you see the girls where they have the butch haircuts, or they're wearing kind of masculine looking clothes. It's all the same thing. It's about blending the genders, and it's gotten into the church. It's all about bringing this stuff together. Then, if that's not enough, we've got the push for bestiality. Yes. There is a push for bestiality. I think there's like 11 countries that allow it's legal for bestiality, and we're seeing things now where they're putting on events to protest, to get the governments to make it legal to sleep with their animals. We've seen different events on this. We've seen marches. Australia had one. Germany had one. I think there was another one somewhere else. I can't remember. But we're seeing the push to normalize bestiality. So now we're not only normalizing the alphabet stuff, but we're normalizing transgender. We're starting to normalize pedophilia. We're starting to normalize bestiality. We have gone past Sodom and Gomorrah. And then to finish this off, the destruction of marriage. This is the family, the destruction of marriage. This is things like they just signed the Respect for Marriage Act. Now, this is a two-headed prong because this is to force all 50 states to recognize same-sex marriage. Okay, first of all, that is not true marriage. True marriage is biblical, one man, one woman, and God. It's a union between the three of them. The government decided they were going to step in and be a part of it. That is not true marriage. So the same-sex marriage thing, whatever they want to call it, that is not true marriage. But something that comes from this is now they're going to start putting the hammer down on pastors and churches that try and teach against same-sex marriage and all of that stuff. And so we have to be very cautious. They are destroying marriage. One man, one woman, and God. That is true marriage. The government has nothing to do with it, and it is not anything of the same genders. We're seeing that happen, and that's happening worldwide. That's happening worldwide. Maybe not so much in the Middle East countries. We know what happens there, but it's happening everywhere as far as that goes. Now, number 5. Let's go on to number 5. I spent a lot of time on number 3. I was hoping I wasn't going to do that, but so let's just go ahead and go through this. Hopefully we can get done on time. Number 5, the 5th sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me, rise of the one world government. This is a hefty subject, but I'm not going to go extremely in depth with it. Now, I do want to put this forward. I want to put this out. So everybody knows and is aware how this goes. So we make references all the time about how there's the elites and then there's the deep state, and then there's the shadow government, and then there's, and then type of thing. I just got the scene from Dude, Where's My Car, where he beats up the drive-through. But anyway, sorry. But basically, I want to put this out. We've got, as far as, okay, the deep state is not just an America thing. The deep state is the union of governments around the world. We don't have just a deep state here, but Europe's got a deep state. Even Russia's got a deep state. China's got their deep state. All these countries, Australia, Canada, they've all got their deep states. That's the governmental level that we see there. So that's what that is. Then you've got the elite groups. These are the elite groups. These are the ones that we see that we're supposed to believe are the ones pulling the strings. They're still useless idiots. These are your WEF groups, your UN, your EU, the WHO. These are the groups that we talk about. Charles Schwab, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all these people. Those are your elite groups. And these are the faces they want you to see. These are the faces they want you to get mad at. They would not put them forward unless they want you to see them. You know, a lot of people want to say, oh, it's conspiracy stuff, but this is where we're at now. Now, the shadow government are the ones controlling all of them. The elite groups, your deep state, the shadow government are the ones controlling all of them that we don't know. These are the ones that we don't see. They're hidden, but they're the ones calling the shots right now. Yes, they're the ones even controlling the WEF. They're the ones controlling the UN. They're the ones controlling all of these groups that are controlling the deep state and so on and so forth. These are the ones that we don't know about. And coming from that shadow government is going to be the Antichrist who will control them at that point. So there is definitely an order. There's definitely a hierarchy as far as this goes. I know we just throw names around and stuff all the time, but as far as the structure goes, remember, if there's people that we're to be mad at, that we blame, that we are to hate, again, you know, Noah Harari and Charles Schwab and people from the WHO and Gavin Newsom and Trudeau and all these people, we're supposed to see them. We're supposed to hate them. We're supposed to be aggressive towards them. They're still doing actions that are very, very bad and pushing this stuff forward, but they're just doing what they're told. They're reading the same script as all these other guys. And so it is very, very important that we understand that even these guys that we think are in control of things, they're still puppets. There's a puppeteer. Or there's puppeteers at the shadow government, and then the Antichrist is going to rise from it. We're seeing things like that. Just a couple other quick notes. One of them is we're seeing the foundation, as we know, the Antichrist beast system is 3 pillars. The one world religion, the one world government, and the one world economy. Well, we're seeing the formation of the one world government pillar, specifically with the WHO pandemic treaty that comes through. And basically what that pandemic treaty, I've actually got some more information on that. I might talk about next week, maybe. We'll see. But as far as the pandemic treaty goes, that's your formation of basically the health government. It's a global health government, and that's what that's going to be. They're going to be in control of everything. I've got a video that kind of describes what it is. It's called it's a blue one. It says distraction on it. Check that out if you want to know more about it. But they're forming that now. They're going to get that zero draft ready for February of 2023. And of course, something else that people don't realize as far as all this goes, and it's actually funny you just typed that because I was just going to get into that. Something that we have to realize, because right now we've got so much division between right and left. There's so much division that if somebody from the left comes out to try and fix something, the right is going to say no thank you. If somebody from the right comes out, the left is going to say no thank you. I keep hitting my mic, I'm sorry. But it is very important that we understand that this Antichrist, he's going to, wow. Sorry. This Antichrist, when he comes out, he's going to basically come out, and this is my idea. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. It says so in Scripture. I'm not saying that. But my belief in my opinion, is when he comes out, he's going to need to unify both the right and the left some way. And what he's going to do, and I'll give that an example in a minute. What he's going to do is he's going to point the finger at these people, the WHO, the WEF, the UN, the EU. He's going to point the finger at them, and he's going to tell people, look at what they did to you. Look at what they've done to you. And he's going to expose them, and he's going to offer he's going to offer this thing that's going to say, I can fix this. I can get rid of them. And it's going to get both the right and the left to follow this one guy. So, because what they're building right now is so oppressive, and the Antichrist is going to come out. And so the best example I can give is if you take a look at, if you ever watched the original Left Behind movie with Kirk Cameron, they played this out very similarly, where there was two guys who were basically forming this oppressive government to take control of everything, and the Antichrist basically pointed the finger at them and said, "Look at what they've done," and it got everybody to then go, "He saved it. He offered the solution. He's found the fix. He can fix this. He just outed the people that were taking." It's the same thing. So that's my belief. That's what I think is going to happen in order to get everybody to follow this guy, to unite under him. So that's what we're seeing with the rise of the one world government. There's a lot more, obviously, but we're just kind of just counting it down. Number 6, we're only halfway there. We got to roll. We got to get going. Number 6, 6 sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me. Your Internet of Things profile and your digital ID. We're seeing a massive push on this. We're seeing the creation of the digital wallets and the digital IDs. We're seeing Australia is already pushing the digital ID to log into social media. You have to put in 100 points of identification, whether driver's license and passport, your birth certificate. Each thing offers a certain amount of points. You have to reach 100 points in order to log on to social media. We see things in China like the WeChat app. We know Musk has talked about how he wants to create a global WeChat app, and he just bought Twitter. Interesting. We've also seen them talk about a global medical database where they want every single person's full medical records in this global database. We've seen things like the vitamin passport, vitamin follow along. I know I got some new people here. Vitamin means something. You can figure that out. A vitamin passport. They talked about that at the G20 meeting in November. They're building the Internet of Things profile, your digital ID, all of this stuff. It's being created and put together in that way. Don't be surprised if you start seeing things where you have to have social credit or a digital ID to start logging onto the internet and all of that as well. So that's what we got going on with that. All right, done with that. All right, you guys doing all right in there? Hopefully you guys are doing all right in there. You guys are talking it up. Glad to see you guys. All right. The 7th sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and the carbon credits forming a one world economy. So we see countries everywhere right now preparing for a switch to the central bank digital currencies. We're seeing them everywhere. Turkey, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, the United States, Canada, all of Europe, all these different places, they are preparing for the central bank digital currency. We're seeing them run tests. I think it's Thailand. That, I mean, they're ready to go. And then I think Turkey they confirmed they're going to launch their central bank digital currency next year. And I think there's like a handful of other countries that said they've already announced that they will launch it next year. We're seeing the places like Nigeria. The question is, how are they going to get everybody to switch over? We see that Nigeria is holding withdrawals of cash, physical money, to $45 a day. So they're restricting. We're seeing the same thing happen in Israel. Israel is doing the same thing. What was it? We're also seeing things like how are they going to get people to spend this because they don't want people saving it? Well, we're also seeing like the digital yuan is going to have an exploratory date expiration date, however you want to pronounce that, put it, where you have to spend it by a certain time, otherwise it disappears. We've also seen the testing of the UBI system. When the lockdowns happened and all those stimulus checks started happening, that was a testing of the UBI system. You notice how nobody actually got physical checks; it was all just put into your account digitally. They were testing a UBI system. We're also seeing little other tests all over the place about it as well. UK is doing it, and a whole bunch of other places. The big one that I'm really caught up on, that I talk about a lot, is the carbon credit system, because everybody wants to talk about how the one world currency could be one central bank digital currency, like a beast coin, which it could be. I'm not saying it's not. But I want to offer up the idea of the carbon credit system being that one world currency, because you can have 500 different central bank digital currencies, but if it all runs through a carbon credit system, it's technically one currency at that point, because it all runs through the carbon credit. And if you don't have enough carbon credit, you can't buy or sell. We've seen things like the UK testing this, where they have reward systems for using sustainable transportation, and they reward you and stuff. It's all about carbon credit. The buy and sell, you can buy and sell credits. They've talked about this. I think it's the lady from Rabo Carbon Bank. I can't remember her name exactly, but she talked about how if you're poor and you need more money, you can sell carbon credits to somebody and they can give you money that way. Even though she never said, well, if you don't have enough carbon credits, you can't buy something. Either way, you can buy and sell the carbon credits as well. They've already confirmed that. I've talked about a couple times how Ireland is already putting out restaurant menus where there's the regular price, and then next to that is the carbon price. And so they've already got restaurant menus that are putting in the carbon credits on that. And then something that was just announced, I am definitely going to talk about this next week, is the EU has introduced the personal carbon system. They are now going to force people in the EU to purchase their carbon. You're going to have to purchase your carbon. This is about getting people to spend less, and they're going to force people to purchase their carbon. I'll talk about that next week. I'm definitely getting more information on that, but they are doing it. They are doing it. So we're seeing that come about as well. Okay. On the eighth sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me, transhumanism by melding man and machine. We are seeing the push for transhumanism. Now, everybody is talking about, at least those who are paying attention, about Musk's Neuralink program. Yes, definitely very bad. Definitely somebody to pay attention to. But there are a couple of other ones that are not necessarily being discussed or talked about. I've talked about them a couple times, but the often forgotten Synchron. Synchron is actually further along than Neuralink. They're already testing on humans. Now we know Neuralink, they've kind of run into some trouble with animal practices. And then they're trying to get approved for humans. But Synchron is already putting him in humans. They're already testing on humans. And this is very important to pay attention to Synchron because, one, they just got a big boost of funding by both Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates have both put in money. They both started funding Synchron. Also, Synchron has received funding from DARPA and the Department of Defense. I'm getting some information on DARPA. I found some very interesting things as far as this goes. I'll talk about that next week as well. But Synchron now has funding from DARPA, the Department of Defense, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates. So, and of course, they're already testing on humans now. So Synchron is definitely somebody to pay attention to as far as this transhuman thing goes. It's same thing. It's about getting into the brain, and we know what they're going to be doing when they get in there. Another one, though, that people don't really necessarily know about is BlackRock Neurotech. BlackRock Neurotech is also testing on humans. So just like Synchron, they're already in the human trial phase. Now, BlackRock Neurotech is being funded by Peter Thiel. I've talked about Peter Thiel a couple times. Something to know about Peter Thiel is he and Musk were both a part of the founders group for PayPal. So Peter Thiel is buddy-buddy with Musk, and they're both working on separate neuro neurological brain chip type stuff. So these are three of them. These are three: Neuralink, Synchron, BlackRock Neurotech, two of which are already on human trials. This is some huge stuff going as far as the push for transhumanism. There's a lot more on that for sure, but getting into the brain is interesting. And like I said, I've got some very interesting stuff on DARPA I'll talk about next week. So that's number 8. Let's go to 9. Let's go to 9. The ninth sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me, my word, the sudden, and I put sudden specifically, sudden rise of AI, or as I believe now, DI, artificial intelligence, has become demonic intelligence. Now, we talked about this a lot last week, but the sudden rise. We've seen artificial intelligence for years. I mean, decades at this point, but mainly I want to say the past 10 years, artificial intelligence has been making a push, but I want to say the sudden part comes from just the last 2 years, but even just the last 6 months. And one of them is the rise of the AI art. We talked about it last week, but there's a guy who he has said that he believes, because he's working on rights for AI and ethics. He believes that AI, he's about the morality code. He believes AI is alive, sentient, and conscious, or conscious. I can never say that word, conscious. There it is. He believes that, and there's more and more people. A lot of AI programmers have come out and said that the AI art program, if you don't know, check out last week's podcast, but the AI art program, it is not possible for artificial intelligence to do that. Something or someone has to be controlling it. Well, I believe it's demonic intelligence. It has been possessed by demons. They are the ones controlling it. So this guy, when he comes out, S. Matthew Lau, when he comes out and says it's alive, sentient, it's conscious, all of this stuff, it's because I believe AI has officially become demonic intelligence. It's there. Then we've also seen the same program, or at least the same coding base that is being used for AI art is also being used for AI medicine, where they talked about how it's conjuring up new proteins that have never been seen in nature before. That is happening now. Conjure up means to summon a spirit or demon, or it's magic. They use specific words, guys. Don't think you're reading too much into things, but you've got to pay attention. They use these specific words. Conjure, to summon a spirit or demon. What do you think this AI is going to be doing? Imagine a demon-controlled AI system in Neuralink or Synchron or BlackRock Neurotech. Now you've got them creating new drugs, new medicines, new medications. It's demon possession. This AI is demonic intelligence. There's no other way to put it. And it's learning. It's gathering so much information. It's putting it all together. The same information that the elites and the shadow government is wanting on you, this AI art program is already collecting it. And people are just doing it because it's fun. Because it's fun. I can put in pictures of myself and I can make myself look like a Simpsons character. It's fun. And people are being duped by it. Days of deception are definitely here as far as that goes. So, okay. That is for later. Okay. Number 10. The 10th sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me. Yeah. Human engineering and mass eugenics. Human engineering and mass eugenics. Okay, yeah. What about CERN? CERN is definitely a demonic portal. I have said multiple times, I know about CERN and I've looked into it and everything. I don't believe I'm the proper person to even talk about it, but yes, definitely CERN is a demonic portal. And I believe there's multiple CERNs, which means there's multiple portals. So But yes, CERN is definitely a part of ushering in demons and all that stuff. I'm not even going to pretend like I know enough about it to even discuss it. I've said that multiple times, but yes, I'm definitely aware of CERN and what it is. It's demonic portals. There's really no other way to put it. So, yeah, I don't want to put any false information out there. There's guys out there that know much more than I do as far as that goes. So, but 10, human engineering and mass eugenics. So we've seen S. Matthew Lau. He's talked about how allergies to meat, about rewriting or human engineering. I got to be careful about how I say it. But human engineering humans to be allergic to meat because, as we know, we talked about with Timothy, they're going to command you to abstain from eating food for human consumption, basically, that God has given to us to receive. Well, he's talked about, and we know that they want people off meat. They want them eating bugs or their lab grown stuff and all of that. Well, they've talked about how human engineering to make us allergic to meat because they don't want us on that. So that literally is commanding us to abstain. So that's a part of it. That's about pushing that along. Then we've talked about the ectolife artificial wombs. Yes, that video that I showed is just a concept video, but we know that they have that technology and we know that's what they're doing. I talked about it like a year ago. China is already putting something together just like this. They want artificial wombs to put the babies in. What they will do with them, there's so many different options. There's so many different things. I can't sit here and tell you this is their plan with it. I can't because there's so, I mean, they can use it for just like the Matrix did for human energy. They can do that. It could be a demon Nephilim breeding ground. It's about eugenics. They could be just like what Hitler was doing. They want to create, in their eyes, the perfect human. It's all about getting back to the days of Babel, the Tower of Babel. It's about getting us to godlike status. We know it all stemmed straight from Satan. He believes that he was just as powerful as God, got knocked down. Then he told that to Eve. You can be just like God if you eat the apple. The Tower of Babel, it was all about they believed that they were gods. And as we know, Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz, their story, how that all plays an effect, how their spirits are still alive and well with what's going on. There's so many things that this ectolife or what it will be type of thing that could happen. I can't sit here and tell you that this is what it's going to be. All we can do is discuss the possibilities of it, but it is definitely, we know it's definitely going to be for human engineering and eugenics. We definitely know that. And then we know the Mark of the Beast technology and DNA altering stuff. I can't go much deeper on that on YouTube, but Mark of the Beast technology stuff's around. A lot of stuff that we don't know about, but the closest thing that we do know about are the what is it? My mind just went completely blank. I can't remember. They've got these patch things that basically that's exactly what it would work where you can load on digital IDs and everything on there. I can't remember the name of it. My mind just went blank. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. If maybe you guys, if one of you guys know what I'm talking about, throw it in the chat. I can't remember what it is called. I can't remember. Okay. But they have this stuff available. I'm really disappointed, and I didn't write it down, but sorry. But this technology is here. It's ready to go. Um, we just, I mean, like I said, there's so much stuff out there that we don't know about. I mean, there's so much of this stuff that they haven't seen to it. Just like the shadow government, just like the shadow government, um, they've got this technology sitting there that we don't know about that they've hidden. People want to talk about things like maybe a little off topic, but things like cancer, how there's no, cures for specific cancers and whatnot. They've got that stuff. They've got it. It's just we don't we don't know. We haven't seen it. So all we can do is use our imagination. But this stuff, they've got it, just like the Mark of the Beast technology. It was a quantum dot tattoo or quantum dot patch. That's what I was thinking of. Um, yeah, no, it's not Lucifreeze or CRISPR Cas9. I know what you're talking about with that. But no, as far as like the mark, I'm not talking about like the changing of stuff. Again, I got to be really careful on YouTube. But the quantum dot is what can actually be the mark, and it can hold your digital ID and all that stuff in there. But we know that a part of it is going to be the DNA altering stuff, because I'm glad that we got into this. I try and put this across as much as I can. We know about when it comes to the Mark of the Beast, about you will not be able to buy or sell without it. I mean, everybody talks about that. But the big thing, the most important thing, in my opinion, is you can't get salvation once you take that. You cannot receive salvation when you take the Mark of the Beast. That's why in Scripture, when it says if you take it, it's an act of worship to the Antichrist. You can't be saved, because what's going to happen is, just like Jesus, he was 100% man, 100% God. He had to be 100% man so it could cover us, humans. And he had to be 100% God in order to rid the sin, to be that sacrifice in order to beat death. And so when you take the Mark of the Beast, I'm talking like you guys, but when they take the Mark of the Beast, you can't be saved, because what it's going to do is it's going to at least change part of what makes you human. And it's going to break the part that the sacrifice can't cover. And so that's the very, very important thing to understand about that. So the mark is going to be a mark, whether right hand, forehead, where you're going to need to it's going to have all your information where you could buy and sell, but at the same time, it's going to make it so you can't be saved anymore. So it's very important that we understand that. That's a part of the human engineering of that stuff. So, okay, we got two more, guys. Two more. The 11th day of, or the 11th sign. I started singing the actual song. That was my bad. The 11th sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me, mocking, scoffing, and unbelief. This is a big one that we are seeing today, even though a lot of people don't want to talk about how it's a sign of the times that we're in. But mocking, scoffing, and unbelief is huge. And this goes along with, like I talked about a little bit with the Laodicean church. We're seeing things like the mainstream media putting out articles promoting that the belief in the rapture is a mental health issue. There's been multiple articles that have put out where it's trauma. Belief in the rapture is traumatic to people. We're also seeing the quickly growing push against the pre-trib rapture. Again, this goes along with the Laodicean church. We're seeing more and more and more and more Christians that are falling away from the belief of a pre-tribulation rapture or a rapture at all, even though it is completely biblical and the Bible supports it and pushes it out there. It's a belief that is getting pushed away. It's getting knocked down. And they're even making fun of other Christians who believe in it. I see it all the time. Any time I do any video that specifically talks about a pre-tribulation rapture, I can count on at least one comment from somebody that I've never seen before that is going to make an argument about how pre-tribulation rapture is not biblical. It's become such a thing, and this is a sign that tells you that pre-tribulation rapture is real, because one, it's a dwindling belief, which that's a sign in itself, but two, it's a belief that's being attacked. Now that is a very important sign that it is true, that it is biblical. When you have a belief like the pre-tribulation rapture that is being actively attacked so much that people will actually search out videos just to comment on there saying that it is not real, that is a sign. That is a sign that it is confirming that it is in fact real and biblical. This is definitely something to pay attention. Something small like that is very important. And so we're seeing that among Christians. I mean, we've seen it in the secular side, but even Christians, it's a push against that. The church's outright rejection of rapture and prophecy. I'm going to throw that in there as well. This is part of the Laodicean church, the modern church. How many churches, one, refuse to even teach prophecy? They don't teach things like hell. They don't teach things like sin. They don't teach any of that stuff. I got a hair that keeps falling. Sorry. They don't. They teach. They don't even teach about that stuff. They won't even mention it. Anything that's negative. How many churches refuse to talk about prophecy? How many pastors of churches don't even know about prophecy? The prophecy is 1/3 of Scripture. Prophecy is 1/3 of Bible, and people don't realize this. But Jesus, he is technically the spirit of prophecy. His life that he lived and what he taught all was prophetic. His entire life was foretold before it even happened. And the things that he taught are prophetic in what's going to happen. He is literally the living, because he's alive now, he is the living spirit of prophecy. That is Jesus Christ. And these churches don't want to talk about 1/3 of the Bible. They don't even know about this stuff. Of course, we're not going to know every little bit about it. Obviously, we can't sit here and say, this is exactly what's going to happen, because prophecy is unfolding and there's so much stuff that we don't know, but we know to watch for these signs. And they're also ignoring and rejecting the spirit of Jesus Christ, which is prophecy. He is prophecy. He was foretold by himself. I mean, there's no other way to put it, because God and Jesus are the same. But that's exactly how it is with this stuff. And so these churches, they're outright rejecting prophecy. They're outright rejecting the biblical teaching of pre-tribulation rapture. They are pushing that away, and it's becoming active. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because Satan has gotten into those churches. He has taken over the modern day church. Do you really think they want him, or do you really think that Satan wants these churches to be teaching about his defeat that's going to be coming? Because we know he loses. Satan loses. We know that. Do you think he wants these churches to not only teach that he loses, but also to encourage other believers to go and look for the signs of his coming defeat? Do you think that he wants that? He does not. So when you see these churches that push prophecy away, that push the pre-tribulation rapture away, that push Israel away, when you see those churches, and then not only do they push it away, but they either don't know, or they make fun of, or they scoff, they mock, and they say, don't follow those people. Those are crazy people. But when you see that, you know he's in there. Also, with mocking, scoffing, and unbelief, we've got Christians, people that call themselves Christians, I use air quotes there, actively seeking to attack and debate the pre-tribulation rapture. I already covered that when I said these people, are actively searching out arguments on that stuff. But just to kind of put it all together, there is absolutely no interest in watching for the signs. You will see a lot of these Christians. I remember when I first started this podcast, I was trying to get it out there as much as I could. So I went on to some forums, Christian forums or whatever. And I mean, a lot of them don't allow you to do it, but there's a couple that did. And I was like, hey, I'm putting together a Christian podcast. I cover, some prophetic news and signs that are happening or whatever. I got so many responses from people on there saying, this isn't Christian. It's just, you're just talking about conspiracy theories. This is, a couple of them said what I was doing was evil and whatnot. This is this mindset. This is this mindset of not only do people have no interest in watching for the signs, they don't care, they don't want to know, but they're actively pushing it off as conspiracy theory. They think it's just conspiracy. This is the mocking and the scoffing. This is biblical. I think it's Peter. I can't remember. Guys, I'm terrible when it comes to recalling this stuff. I'm sorry. I think it's Peter. But there is scripture that tells us that in these latter times, in the end, the small group that are the watchmen that actually do look for the signs, they will be mocked, they will be scoffed, they will be attacked, and then there's going to be a growing, ever-growing unbelief of pre-tribulation rapture and prophecy. If you just look at what is happening and you look at the prophetic scriptures, you cannot deny that what we're seeing is biblical. It's prophetic. It's all unfolding exactly how scripture told us it would be. Thank you. I figured it was Peter. 2 Peter 3. Thank you. Appreciate that. But guys, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. Yeah. It's unfortunate because you can't even have a conversation with them post. Yeah. And you know what? I think it's at this point. It's kind of cool that you bring that up. Before I get into that, I did see Miss Craig. Awesome to see you, Miss Craig. Glad that you are here. Glad you are here. But it's unfortunate because, and I take that opportunity as don't even get into the argument. I don't even think that that's worth it, because when you just avoid that topic and you just speak on biblical stuff that is happening, you can just, at the end, I mean, don't do it in like a vindictive, snarky type of way, but you can kind of do it like a little tongue-in-cheek type of thing where it's like, well, I know you don't believe in it, but I'll see you up in the clouds. You can just kind of push, just have a little fun with it and just like, you know what? It doesn't matter if they believe in a pre-tribulation rapture or not. As long as their soul is held by Jesus Christ, we'll see him up in the sky. And then we can just kind of go, told you so. I don't think we're going to be at the mindset where we're going to do that. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. But yeah. 2 Peter 3 and Romans 1. Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys for covering me on that. So, okay. And guys, we're at the last day here. We're at the last sign. I keep putting the actual song in it. Sorry, but we're at sign 12. Sign 12. And yes, I know there's a lot more than 12. I understand that, but I just wanted to put 12 specific big ones in my opinion. And this 12th one, I don't think it's covered too much, but it's important that we pay attention, and I always throw it in there as a reminder. The 12th sign before Christmas that the true Lord said to me, natural events. This is a lot of people want to talk about it. It's the natural events, the prophetic natural events that we're told, all the quakes and the volcanoes and the fires and the swarms and all these natural events are only confirmed by what the shadow government, the elites, are trying to put all of their agenda under the veil of. And that veil is under the climate change veil. It's of the global warming, climate change. They change it back and forth, whatever fits their narrative. But if you notice, they put everything under the climate change veil. And that is a confirmation. Again, that is a confirmation that the natural events that we see, the big things happening all around the world, is indeed confirmed prophetically, because they're all pushing that stuff as the reason why they need to change, put forward this green agenda that they're trying to do. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I may have explained that terribly, but I apologize. It's only confirmation though, and it tells us how important these natural events are. That's also another aspect, because I think the natural events are probably the least looked at as far as the prophetic stuff goes, but this is a confirmation of how important it really is. So we see things like the floods that have been happening, the giant fires that have been happening, all of the tornado storms that have been happening, the extreme droughts. We're seeing a precursor, and we're not seeing it yet, obviously, because that happens in the tribulation, but we're seeing a precursor of the Euphrates River drying up. We're seeing that stuff, all the droughts that have been happening, all the biblical swarms of locusts that have been just ravaging through food and everything, all the eruptions and the quakes and everything, which I always got to make sure I cover that stuff. So quick pick stop. Some of the quakes that we have seen this past week: 5.9 quake in Hualien, Taiwan, 6.3 quake in the Aleutian Islands, Alaska, 5.3 or 5.7 quake in Puerto El Trunfo, El Salvador. And a 5.4 quake in Midland, Texas. This is a pretty big because it's the fourth largest quake on record for Texas. 5.6 quake. 5.6 quake in Miyazaki, Japan, and then just today there's a 6.4 quake in Ferndale, California, which is huge. And then as far as volcanoes, as of Sunday, 41 volcanoes erupting, so we're down quite a significant amount. 6 in North America, 6 in South America, 2 in Europe, 3 in Antarctica, 3 in Africa, 14 in Asia, and 7 in Oceania. But all that stuff, we see this is going to be happening. But also another big thing that is happening is since 2001, the world has been shifting. It's been we know the world rotates and know the Earth isn't flat. Jeez, yeah, the Earth is flat and the aliens made it that way. That's just how it goes. Anyways. But we know the Earth rotates, but it's actually shifting since 2001 so much that the North and South poles are actually on a path, a trajectory to change places. They're going to reverse. And so it's very, very important that we pay attention to this stuff and what is going on as far as natural events go. So, all right, guys, that's it. That is the 12 signs before Christmas. So, I want you guys to use this as encouragement. I know this is kind of just more of an overview, recap, all that stuff, but I want you guys to use this as encouragement. All of this stuff is signs of what is happening now. And I don't know if you're heading out right now, but I just want to say thank you all. You've been so kind of welcoming. Great live stream. Happy to talk to you all. Glad that you could be here, Annette. Glad that you're here. I don't know if you're leaving. I just want to make sure I catch that before. And I'm glad that you could be here. Definitely glad that you can be here tonight. So definitely hope to see you again for sure. But yeah, guys, use this as encouragement. We're so close. We are so close. All of this stuff that we're seeing, that we just talked about tonight, is either happening now, like right now as we speak, or it's getting ready to be introduced next year. And this is all stuff that points to like in-depth prophetic signs that he told us, that Scripture tells us this is what's going to happen. And this is we covered literally everything that builds the 3 pillars of the beast system. The 3 things that's going to hold it up. The one world religion, we're seeing that. The one world government, we're seeing that being formed. And the one world economy, they're getting ready to introduce a lot of that stuff next year. This is huge. This is huge stuff, and we're seeing it. So be encouraged. It's going to get harder. I am not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Just like I talk about sin and hell and all of that stuff, it's going to get harder. We have to hold on to the only thing that we got left. That's Jesus Christ. And he's going to come and get his bride before he lays, and this is how I always put it, before he lays the smackdown on this world. Be encouraged, guys. Always be watching. Definitely always be watching. And that's all I got. So hopefully you guys have a good Christmas time. I also want to just quick little note. Make sure in this time, don't celebrate Christmas. Celebrate the birth of Christ. And what I mean by that is the world has taken Christmas and has shifted it to where Christmas is now about gifts and events and food and all this stuff. When people celebrate Christmas, that's what they celebrate. Don't celebrate that. Celebrate the birth of Christ. There is a difference. So don't celebrate Christmas. Celebrate the reason for Christmas, the birth of Christ. So just want to say a quick little note on that. I think it's very important that we understand what we celebrate and why we celebrate at this time. So definitely want to put that out. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you here. Yeah, so usual stuff. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Get this out there to as many people as you can. Bring some encouragement, and if people have questions and they don't know what is going on, hopefully this can answer some of that. I am so glad that you guys can join me today. Make sure you follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram, all of that stuff. And if you feel led to, I do have donation links down below, Cash App, Venmo, and Give, Send, Go. If you feel led to donate to the ministry, I truly appreciate it with all of my heart. So I thank you for that, guys. And for all the new faces and all the new names, I'm so glad that you guys can join me. And I truly hope that you guys come by again. And again, we stream every Tuesday, same time, same place. So glad you guys are here. And I think that is it. So if we're not out of here by next Tuesday, and Lord, please come by next Tuesday. But if we're not, same time, same place. I'll see you guys. All right. Peace out, guys.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.